I'm so tired of connecting long HDMI cables for whatever I want, whether it's playing the Series X in another room or whether it's in a professional setting where I need to connect my video village. That's basically where you have people watching what you're shooting in real time. And so I've been looking for a wireless solution. Well, you gotta see what the team over at Coolpie have baked up, pun intended, as they sent over their wireless 4K HDMI transmitter and receivers. Yes, you get 2 receivers in this pack, all for a price that you really can't beat. So that's what we're gonna take a look at today. If that sounds like what you came to see, hit the like button, subscribe, and click the bell so you don't miss as we cover all things tech. I'm Chris Grant Jr. It's the Granted Geek Show. Alright, so first things first, I have to say, when it comes to the unboxing, it's nothing spectacular, but don't take that as a bad thing. Coolpie put absolutely everything into making these high quality and reliable. What you get in the package, along with the transmitter, is 2 receivers, and along with that, you get basically every accessory you could think of, and many that you didn't think of. I'm talking micro HDMI adapter, mini HDMI adapter, HDMI extender cables for those hard to reach places behind TVs, etc. If you could imagine it, Coolpie basically included it. Now, moving on from the unboxing, let's talk about the build quality and design. First of all, it's very low profile. It's mostly black, but it has a pop of orange, especially in places where you'll need to see the writing, knowing the difference between the transmitter and the receiver. The transmitter, obviously, you're going to plug into your source, so that would be either your camera or your game console, and then the receiver is going to receive that HDMI signal, and that's what you're going to plug into your display, your computer, TV monitor, etc. Now, all 3 of these units have the same high quality build quality, I would say, a solid metal build. They're a little heavy, a little on the hefty side, bulky, but it gives you confidence. And I'll tell you what, these HDMI connectors, they don't wobble at all. It gives you confidence when you're plugging it into a device. Now, these antennae are also able to screw off, allowing you to keep it super compact when you need to. But if you need that range, again, up to 450 feet, we'll talk about that later, you can pop one of these on. And it's not super low profile because it is orange, but it allows you to identify your equipment in your setup fairly easily. And overall, it's a more subtle, low profile looking package. So I like that. Now, next up, we got to talk, of course, about functionality, features. It doesn't matter if it has a great build quality and all these accessories if the thing doesn't work. And that's where I got to say, Coolpie has made this the simplest, easiest setup you could imagine. It is literally plug and play. So you simply plug the transmitter into your source, plug the receiver into the display. There's no setting codes or setting pairing frequencies or this, that, and the third. They just work. They recognize each other and they pair. Now, there is a pairing button. I've never needed to use it because they've never had an issue pairing, but I would suppose if you weren't able to connect, you'd simply hit the pairing button on these and they would find each other again. But every time I've plugged in on multiple devices, this has just worked. So I can't really tell you too much more about this pairing button. Now, what you will find next to the pairing button is a little USB Type-C DC 5-volt charging port, and that's how you can get a little extra power to the device if it's not able to get it from the HDMI port itself. Many displays, almost virtually any modern TV, is going to have a USB port on the back of it as well, and that's where you'll be able to plug in from this USB-C cable into the USB Type-A cable and get a little extra power for the device. Now, of course, they included all the cables that you need, including your USB-C to USB-A cables. So you're going to be ready to go right out of the box here. Now, before we test this out with the Series X, I'll be playing that in the other room on the big screen TV. We've got to talk about specifications. How good is it at what it does? What kind of clarity can you get? Because the truth is, doesn't matter if it looks great, doesn't matter if you have a ton of accessories. If the image quality is subpar, you're not going to want to use this, as certainly not in any kind of professional setting. The image quality is 4K, so this transmitter is going to put a 4K image to both receivers at the same time. That means you can have a multi-display setup mirroring the same image to 2 different displays at the same time, 4K up to 30 hertz. So it's going to be plenty smooth. Might be a little laggy if you're used to 60 frames in your video games and things like that. But I got to tell you, for looking at video from a camera feed or using your computer, or using an extended monitor in that case, image quality, latency, it's not something that's going to bother you at all. And I've tested this up to about 50 feet. Now, speaking of which, Coolpie claims you can get up to 150 meters. That's 450 foot range on these things. I don't really know of an application you would need outside of like a live venue or a concert where you would need to transmit to 2 displays at once. It certainly is beyond what any regular household is going to need, but that just gives you all the more confidence that when you plug these things in, whether it be in a professional setting or right at home for a home theater or something like that, you're not going to have to worry about being out of range or having that range dictate how your setup's going to look. And now I'm not even going to hide it. That's a lot to love, and I really have thoroughly enjoyed using these. But I gotta say, my favorite thing about it is the plug and play simplicity. No Bluetooth, no Wi-Fi, no app to download, no codes to put in. It just works, and it's sturdy enough to be reliable and last you. Now, I've had this for well over a month now. Obviously, time will tell. If there's an issue, I'll make an update video, but I've had confidence in these from the day that I got them, and they've been holding up really well. All right, so first test, let's pretend that we got to give a presentation or something from our laptop. I use iPad Pro for everything. That's my main go-to laptop. That's been fun. Anyway, we got it plugged into the back of this display. Again, I want to show you. No HDMI cable. You see the receiver right there. It says searching TX, so it's searching for the signal. We're going to take this. We're going to plug it right into, I have a super case that allows me to get HDMI with my iPad as well. We're going to plug it right in, okay? And I haven't even plugged it into the USB-C power yet, but it's showing that it does have some kind of power. Let's go ahead and unlock this. It says exterior display. I think it's already seeing the exterior display. Let's see what we get. And there it is. Again, I have not plugged it into the USB port that is also on this case. This case is pretty cool. Look, folks. A real HDMI transmission. The Granite Geek. I hear that's a pretty good YouTube channel, and check it out. All right, so for my next test, I wanted to boot up a little bit of Xbox to play in my living room. My Series X lives in my studio, but sometimes I want to play those games out in the living room. And even though there are things like Game Pass and Remote Play and things like that, I wanted to see if I could get this to work. Now, sure enough, due to its plug and play nature, I was able to simply plug the transmitter into the back of the Series X and the receiver into the back of the TV, and voila, I was playing video games up and running in no time. But there were some caveats to this. First of all, while the image came through nice and clear, I'm standing at a crazy distance, so I was able to see a little bit of artifacting, but at a regular viewing distance, this looks really, really good. But what I will say is that the colors were not coming through as vibrant, and you would have to adjust your TV settings to get it to look normal. And then also, as you might have suspected, there was some latency. And so this is going to be problematic if you're playing video games where reaction speed is essential for your experience. Things like Call of Duty or Forza, or even games like Madden. But regular puzzle or casual games, they're going to work just fine on this system, and I think it works really well. Coolpie, HDMI, wireless 4K, transmitter, and 2 receivers. All in all, what can I say, folks? I mean, you know, I review a lot of tech, obviously, on this channel, and it's very rare that I come across a piece of tech that I can't think of anything that I would want improved. I mean, build quality is solid. The range is ridiculous. The quality, okay, maybe you could say, oh, I wanted 8K or I wanted 120 frames a second, but how much of that are you actually using on a daily basis unless you're doing it for gaming or something like that? Sure, you'd have a point there. But other than that, this knocks it out of the park. And the fact that not only is it so well built and the specs are great, but that it's plug and play. Again, no app, no Bluetooth, no Wi-Fi, no pairing, no codes, nothing like that. I don't even know why they put the pair button on this thing. That would be my only question. But with that said, guys, let me know what you think of this down in the comment section below. You know I'm going to hook you up with a great discount code, so check it out in the description. Also, I got a shout out to the folks over at Coolpie for sending this over. Love it. Very, very good. 10 out of 10 would recommend. So you know what you got to do. Hit the like button, subscribe, and click the bell so you don't miss as we cover more tech just like this. I'm Chris Grant Jr. It's the Granite Geek Show.